Washington, D.C. He was receiving an award for a military organization for what he does for the services. And he humbly accepted that from Military Officers Association of America. And I say humbly because he doesn't think of what he's doing as anything special or spectacular. This comes natural to him. And it's part of that volunteerism that we all strive for every day. You don't know you're doing it, you just do it because you enjoy doing it. But before I get to Gary, let me just introduce a real hero, a man who, born in West Point, New York, Drew Dennis Dix. And again, we've met several times ago before. Drew, thank you so much for coming here. The first enlisted Special Forces soldier to receive the Medal of Honor in Vietnam. Dennis, sir. Sergeant, and then receive a direct commission, so there just goes to show no matter what rank you attain, you can still become an officer and your career of 20 years. But Drew, it's an honor, and I'm glad you finally took me up on the offer to come to Fort Bliss. So I hope this is the only time you come to see us. You have a home here at Fort Bliss, thank you. But I want to introduce Gary Sinise. Gary, I am thankful that you and the team took time to come here to visit Fort Bliss. Also, your first visit to Fort Bliss, and we're hoping that you make this a routine stop as you go around the world affirming for our soldiers, our service members, and their families. But a true volunteer, not only you, the entire band and crew. But Gary, I'd invite you up here to say a few words, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gary.
A few words. Life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. Thank you. I hope you all intend to come to the concert tonight. How many people know about it? I have military in my family on both my wife's side and my side of the family. On my wife's side, her two brothers served in Vietnam. Her sister was a captain in the Army. Her sister married a Vietnam veteran who was in the Army for 24 years. He was a medic in Vietnam. Her older brother went to West Point and served until he unfortunately passed away at age 39, but he was a lieutenant colonel. At the time, right before he passed away in 1983, he had rewritten the leadership manual at Fort Leavenworth for the Army, and so we're very proud of him. And on my side of the family, I have my dad served in the Navy, my grandfather was in the Army in World War I, and I have two uncles who served in World War II. So I'm kind of surrounded by military. I have great respect and admiration for those who serve our country. I got involved with Vietnam veterans groups very, very early in the 80s. In the early 80s, when I was working in a theater company in Chicago that I founded years ago, and supported those Vietnam veterans groups. And then along came Forrest Gump. Some of you may have seen that. Is there anyone here who hasn't seen Forrest Gump? Somebody must not have seen it. Nobody. Everyone's seen Forrest Gump. Well, I'm glad I was in that movie. It's a popular one. But when I did Forrest Gump, about a month after the movie opened, I got a call from the national commander of the Disabled American Veterans Organization. And I was unaware of the Disabled American Veterans Organization, and they invited me to come to their national convention in Chicago about in a few weeks, and they wanted to give me something for playing a disabled veteran, and I went to that conference. And I remember they had me up in a hotel room, and I really didn't know I didn't know anything about the Disabled American Veterans Organization at all. But I remember coming down, they brought me down the stairs, the back stairs, and in through the kitchen, and behind this door, I was standing there waiting, and I heard my voice on the video screens that were, there's a big ballroom, I guess. I was going to come into a big ballroom, and I heard my voice from the movie. They were showing clips of the film. And at the end of the clip, the national commander introduced me, and I came through the doors. I didn't really know what to expect. I came through the doors. It was a giant, giant ballroom, probably 3,000 people in there. Probably 2,000 of them were disabled veterans from all wars, going back to World War II. And I went up on the stage and I looked out, and those that could were all standing up. And I looked across the audience and saw a lot of disability out there, all sacrificed in service to our country. And I got very emotional. And I was kind of unprepared for that. Very, very moved, and they gave me an award for playing a disabled veteran in the movie. I guess they liked what I did. And from that time on, I stayed very, very active with the Disabled American Veterans, supporting their organization. We have 3 million disabled veterans, more every day, unfortunately. 1.5 of those disabled veterans are actually a part of the Disabled American Veterans Organization. And so that began a whole association with supporting our wounded and disabled veterans. And then along came September 11th. And as a celebrity, what can you do to serve? I couldn't sign up, although I really wanted to after that. And I knew that there were a lot of young folks that were signing up in reaction to what happened to us on September 11th. Having been so close to Vietnam veterans throughout the early 80s and having them in my family, I remember what happened to our Vietnam veterans when they came home from war, and it was not good. Our country turned our back on our warriors, and I wanted to make sure that that didn't happen again, and I wanted to try to contribute to making sure that that didn't happen again. So I volunteered for the USO and started going on trips overseas, and I would go out and shake hands and take pictures. I went to Iraq twice in 2003, and I came back from Iraq in June of 2003, having been my first tour, and called the USO up and said, send me someplace else. And so about 2 weeks later, I went and did a USO tour of Italy, and then I called them up and said, send me someplace else next month. Didn't have a job. You might be wondering, does he work? Well, at that time, I was having some downtime as an actor. And so I had a lot of, fortunately, I had a lot of good time, and I put it to good use by visiting our troops. And then I went on a tour to Germany, and then I came back. Went to Fort Stewart for the first time, visited Walter Reed for the first time at that time, and then went back to Iraq in November, and having done 5 or 6 tours where I go out and shake hands and take pictures, I had some musicians that I played with for fun, kind of a garage band type of thing. And so I said to the USO, would you let me take these musicians with me, and we'll entertain the troops? And surprisingly, they said yes. You don't expect too much out of an actor with a band, but they said yes. So I called my band members up and I said, we got to start rehearsing, we got to learn new tunes, we got to get ready, we're going on tour. And that began in February of 2004, and that started what has been a massive, long-term commitment to going out and supporting our troops and playing on bases all across the country and the world. I wanted to do it as effectively and as aggressively as I could, but it's costly. I could only donate the band so much. The USO can only afford so much, and I was like wanting to go out every week to play on a different base. And a couple years into that, I was playing at Luke Air Force Base, and I met Dave McIntyre, who runs Tri-West Healthcare Lines, provides much health care for our military. 22 states west of the Mississippi, and Dave and I teamed up at that point, and Dave said he would support the work that I was doing, and I said, well, if you can support the work, I'll do more. And that began a series of concerts that have taken us all over the world, and a series of domestic concerts that didn't really exist that much prior. You know, the USO is devoted a lot to sending tours overseas, but domestically, it was limited. Well, when I started CSI New York, I couldn't go overseas all the time, but I could get on a plane and fly to a base 3 hours away and play a concert that night and come home. And that began what has been a very, very productive and rewarding journey to be able to go out and entertain our troops and to show them how much we appreciate everything that you and your families do for us, and to be able to give you a little entertainment, show our gratitude, and thank you each and every day for our freedom. We'll continue to do that as aggressively as possible, as long as you need us. And I'm glad to be here at Fort Bliss to play for you tonight. Make sure you come. You're going to have a good time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.